Hlalongi fundisa ukuthi mayenze intando yakho kukho konke isindlula kuko ngithi mayenze intando yakho ithi emhlabeni nasemazulwini ngithi mayenze intando yakho ithi emhlabeni nasemazulwini ithi mayenze intando yakho ithi kuko konke esindlula kuko baba ithi mayenze intando yakho emhlabeni mayenze intando yakho emhlabeni mayenze intando yakho kuko konke esindlula kuko sithi mayenzeke intando yakho emhlabeni nasezulwini mayenzeke intando yakho mayenzeke sithi bayede somhlekazi bayede sokulunga bayede sonini nanini mayenzeke intando yakho sithi ungcwele somhlekazi sithi ungcwele sonini nanini mafunga ngajiki sithi mayenzeke intando yakho Kosingine simo lesingaphezu kwamandla ami ngidinga wena Nkosi wehlele kimi yehla Nkosi yehlela kimi ungigcwalise komoya ontwele athi ngiphinde Nkosi nginesimo lesingaphezu kwamandla ami idinga wena Nkosi yebo wehlele kimi ithi yehla Nkosi yehlela kimi ungigcwalise komoya ontwele Jesu namandla yebuya ngilwele yebesipeni yebo Jesu yebunamandla yebuya ngilwele wesimpini asithuleni Jesu namandla Jesu namandla Jesu namandla uyangilwele esimpini ngithi Jesu namandla Jesu namandla uyangilwela ba yebo uyangilwela njalo Jesu namandla Jesu namandla njalo yebo uyangilwela.
Mr. Abner Mariri once said, with confidence you have already won before you even started. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Sanbonani! Dumelang! Nanga dzina ndifitsireledzo chifani ndifisimba. Nditoba njololo ya muvenda ndichivalumelisa ndiri Well, what is an event without warm welcome and official opening? Well, I believe Sisonke Lana, and we can't just be here without even a welcome. So we deserve it. At this time, help me, as we call Dr. Annemari Brayton back on stage. Please, let's all put hands together for her.
Can I say, goeiedag? And then I say, good afternoon. And I want to say a warm welcome. And today, it is a warm welcome. Last time I was here, I said, we're not doing a warm welcome because it's a sad occasion. Today, it's a warm welcome because we've got a wonderful occasion. So on behalf of the Directorate of Student Governance and Leadership Development at the Mbombela Campus, I would like to welcome everybody here this afternoon. A special warm welcome to Mr. Abner Mariri, who is our motivational speaker. Also to our artists and performers, Ms. Moketi and Mr. Mazibuku. Not forgetting our own TUT celebrities. That is the Director of SGLD, Dr. Kaba. Thank you for coming all the way from Pretoria to be with us. And I know that you love our campus. You do. The HOD, Mr. Tlatswayu, staff members of SGLD, staff members of Mbombela Campus, Student Representative Council. Always good to see you guys, so neatly dressed, guys and girls, so neatly dressed and here to support our students. And then I think today we really need to welcome ourselves or yourselves as students of this campus. Today is about a motivational series. So being an academic, I went to see what is motivation about. And I thought, I know some of you guys are studying management subjects where you learn about motivation. But let's quickly have a look. Why are you here today? What is your motivation to be here today? First of all, it can be a biological force that brought you in here. You were tired of standing outside. You thought, let me just go and sit and rest a little bit. So you came into the hall. You saw, there's nice chairs. There will maybe be food or water or something. Let me take a chance and go and sit. It could have been emotional. You've got nothing to do. You are bored. So let me go and see what's going on. It could have been social. My friend is there, so let me go and join them. Or it could have been a cognitive process where you have read about what is going to happen and you decide, let me go and find out more knowledge. And then the last reason, which I think for most of the girls sitting here, is that wonderful gentleman who was singing. Doesn't he absolutely have the most amazing voice? So, yes, for him, definitely, I would come to any occasion. Okay, so when we talk about motivation is what drives you, what brings you here. And today I want to say motivation comes from you that are sitting here. And in your studies and in your life, we've got a saying that you can bring a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. And as lecturers, we sometimes feel like that on this campus. We feel that we are teaching and we are trying to inspire and we are trying to motivate and we're trying to do a lot of things, and you guys are just not pitching for classes, not studying, not doing anything. And that's what we feel like. So today I want to say to you, don't be a person standing next to the fountain of knowledge and look at it. Drink from that fountain of knowledge. And I know that what you're going to get today is going to add to your fountain of knowledge. So a warm welcome to all of you. Enjoy the rest of this afternoon and take what you can get, the wisdom that is going to be inspiring you this afternoon. Thank you.
Izandla. I hope Senzwil, you are all welcome. I forgot to tell you that I'm the program director of today. As I quote again, Mr. Abner Mandriri has also said, awuyeke lento ukuthi mawufika esibukweni uthi ufuna bangibone namuhla. Ngiyobangena mani. Wena usibona nini? Awushayela izandla mawuzibona njalo. Well. Each and every campus has got a president, right? We also have our president today. His name is Sipongwenya. So we're going to receive a message of support from him. As he come on stage.
Greetings. I nearly said greetings in the wonderful name of our Lord Jesus Christ. I'm Sipongwenya, the president of TET Mbombela Campus. I'm given few minutes. They said I should not consume time. But allow me to greet our administrator, Sis Jabu. Greetings to our practitioner, Umam Gasta Shabalala. Greetings to our HOD, Ubabu Hlachwayo. Greetings to our Dr. Udumo, Dr. Kaba. Greetings to you, Doc, our director. We are privileged to have a director just like you, who is always having a heart of young people, willing to equip and inspire and develop young people. We are very grateful, Doc. Greeting to our Dr. Breitenbeck. Greetings to you as well. We want to greet our artists that are here and our speaker. And I want to greet our fellow, my SRC colleagues as well. Greetings to you. And I greet everyone, all protocol observed. So first of all, I'm here to give a word of support to everyone who is here. I want to say today it's a day that it's for us as young people to come and learn and come and take something to equip ourselves. All of us who are leaders, we may not be leaders today, but we are going definitely to be leaders every place. You can be a leader in your family. As you are, maybe one day you will be a parent, you will have a family, you will be a leader in that particular family. You will be a leader at your workplace. You will be a leader. Leadership, it's everywhere. You must be a good leader wherever you will be in life. What I'm going to say today is to say that this is a moment to equip ourselves. Our country is in a crisis of leadership. We need leadership in order to see change in our country. We need proper leadership to see change in our education system. Everywhere we need proper leadership. So if we have to have proper leadership, we must participate in leadership programs. So I believe that this is a platform for us as young people, as students, to come and get leadership skills and be motivated to become leaders. We can't avoid the issue of becoming a leader in everywhere. We must participate in leadership programs if you want to be a leader that is good and serving people. What I want to say to you this afternoon, today knowledge or wisdom will come like a rain. It will depend on us as individuals. What capacity do we have to accumulate that particular rain or wisdom? So if you have a jar, the wisdom that you are going to get today, it will be equivalent to the jar. But if you have a large capacity, in this afternoon you will carry much wisdom that will sustain you for your entire life. Whatever we learn today, it's not something that will end today. We are building ourselves, and we appreciate for Dr. Kaba to create such a platform for us as students to come and learn so that we can equip ourselves and prepare. He is preparing future to us. We are the future. Future lies to us as young people. I believe, Doc, they were not supposed to be doing this that fine in life. But because they're having a concern about the future of this country, about the future of our community. Because if we change, all of us here, we are going to change our community. We are going to change our families. We are going to change the future. Some they are wishing to have a privilege that we are having now. Some that are engaged in Nyaupe, they're not having such privilege. But if we are going to grasp and take what is going to be said this afternoon, our life will change completely. I thank you.
President, the time I greet you all in the wonderful name of our Lord Jesus Christ. Gufika kimi ukuthi nami each and every time angimalana I be like ngathi hallelujah. Kodwa ke asikho lapho. Each and every home has a talent. TUT Mbombela Campus, we are also blessed. There's this guy Begacula like Talen, you might not know his name. Mgaganyana, but what's inside him is very big. So ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce you officially. Tabang Masugu!
Sanbonan. Oh, nasi nababash. Oh, be lifted a powerful Lord of God. We lay our crowns and worship at you. Oh, be lifted a powerful Lord of God. We lay our crowns and worship you. Oh, believe a powerful Lord of God. We lay our crowns, oh God, and worship you. City, oh, go sing well. See how good do me some. Set suli mi kele. Pambi wako. Oh, go sing well. See how good do me some. Sethuli mikele phambi kwakho. Sethuli mikele phambi kwakho simakathe. Sethuli mikele phambi kwakho simakathe. Sithi bayede somhlekazi. Sishaya indesheni kuwe. Sithi undwele. Dingelosi diyaguga phambi kwakho dithundwele simakathe. Sithi wehlukile ulinganiswa sonini nanini. Sethula imikhele phambi kwakho. Sethula imikhele phambi kwakho. Sethula imikhele phambi kwakho simakathe. Sithi bayede sokulunga. Sithi bayede nkakaramba. Sithi wehlukile. Sithi wehlukile. Umoya wami Nkosi ulambele wena sengidinga wena. Umoya wami Nkosi ulambele wena mabe sengidinga wena. Oh, oh, sengidinga wena. Oh, oh, namuhla somhlekazi siyaguqa phambi kwakho sithi ungwele simakathe siyaguqa phambi kwakho sithi bayede siyakudinga somhlekazi siyakudinga dwala lethu siyakudinga sithi bayede kuwe bayede somhlekazi sithi wehlukile sonini nanini wehlukile siyakuniketa lonke livumo sithi thatha
Nizwile. Ngicela nimphinde ngezandla. Ngishilo ngathi ungaka. Kodwa what's inside? It's big. Moving on. Oh, before I forget, we are live on Facebook. So, besocela each and everyone to go on their Facebook timelines and go like the page. It's TUT website. Nginika le chance yokubamba my phone. Ngathi ngangena emoyeni. Well, you may be asking yourself, why are we here? Kokuqala basibizela athi abangimasuku to come and sing. We just saw posters. They will be in vet. Time is this. But then we don't know what is Zelenda. You may be asking yourself that question. Well, this thing is easy. We have Dr. Kokuletu Klaba. He's going to come on stage and tell us the purpose of the day. Please, Izandla.
Sanbonan. You must watch yourself. You are live on Facebook. When the camera zooms at your face, you must be careful what it zooms. You know what I'm saying? So go to our Bua page, Bua, and then go to our TUT page, SGLT pages, and then like, share, so that other people who are not here can be able to get to be connected to what we are doing. Like they said, I'm the Director of Student Governance and Leadership Development. When I was 18, I went to a technicon. For the first time, I entered in higher education. These universities of technologies, they used to be called technicons during our time. And there are things that I wish had happened while I was there as a student leader. But there were no systems in place that made sure that those things were happening. That's why when I had an opportunity to take over and be responsible for student affairs, I decided that I'm going to introduce those things myself and make sure that the stuff that should have happened to me when I was a student that did not happen, it's happening. So I've got that passion to make sure that the development that was not done to me, I'm going to do it to the next generation and the other generation that is in the university today. That's why we're doing what we're doing. TUT has a strategy that we call Strategy 2020 to 2025. You must go to our website and read the strategy. One of the things that we are saying in our strategy, we are saying we want to make knowledge work. We want to do what? If you hear me, clap once. If you hear me, clap twice. Thank you. I can see that you hear me now. We want to make knowledge work as a university because sometimes people get to read knowledge, get to be exposed to knowledge, but they fail to do what knowledge is about. Knowledge should be made to work. Let me take you through what Africa calls Vision 2063. If you're an African, you must know the vision of Africa. There's a vision of Africa which is called Vision 2063. Google it. It's a vision that you as an African should know by heart. This vision has 7 cardinal pillars. They call them the aspirations of every African. 7 aspirations of every African. Come on, look at your neighbor, say, neighbor, are you an African? Do you know your vision as an African? Come on, tell them, neighbor, go and read your vision. We've got Vision 2063 as Africans. TUT has Vision 2025, 2020 to 2025. Africa has a Vision 20-something to 2063. We've got that strategy of Africa. It's got these 7 cardinal pillars. The first one is that we want to have a prosperous Africa based on inclusive growth and sustainable development. Number 2, an integrated continent, politically united based on ideas of Pan-Africanism and a vision of African renaissance. Number 3, an Africa of good governance, democracy, respect for human rights, justice, and the rule of law. Number 5, an Africa with a strong cultural identity, common heritage, shared values, and ethics. 6, an Africa whose development is people-driven, relying on the potential of African people, especially its women, youth, and caring for children. Last, Africa as a strong, united, resilient, and influential global player. Why am I telling you about this? I'm telling you about this vision so that, number 1, you can understand that we are not just living as Africans, we have a vision. So I want you to go and read that vision, understand it. But number 2, I want you to know that there's nobody else who can make this vision work except you. You are that Africa that make this vision to come to fruition. Come on, look at your neighbor and say, neighbor, you must make this thing come to fruition. So, some of you have introduced a new name, a new word again to you. Go and check fruition. You are that Africa that must make this vision come to pass. Let me tell you, abantu abadala, laba baphethe our country, as things stands, most of them have failed. They are failing us as a country. The politicians are failing us as a country. Even those people who are in charge of some churches are failing us as a country. Even those people who are leading society generally are failing us as a country. What does that say? It says you are the only generation that carries the hopes of Africa. Come on, young person, I wish there was a mirror and you can look at yourself and realize that if there's a generation that carries the hopes of Africa on its shoulders, it's not the generation that's coming, it's not the previous generation, it's not the old people's generation, but it's you who can carry the hopes of Africa. I tell you, if our country, if our continent has a chance of becoming something better than what it is, there's nobody else who can do this thing. It's you. It's you. If we fail to inspire you, then I tell you, it's game over for Africa. Africa has been a victim of many, many, many years of being victimized, colonized, destroyed, looted. But you are the generation that should say stop to this thing. Africa has been a continent of sickness and disease, of criminals, of thugs. But you are that generation that should say no to this thing. Africa has been a continent of rape. They've been coming here raping our kids. They've been coming here destroying, plundering our wealth. But we are this generation that should say no to this thing. But the question is this generation ready to carry the hopes of Africa? You know, the speaker that we have invited today is going to come and talk to us about one of the key things that is destroying Africa today. And if that trajectory continues, we are going to lose this generation. This generation is not going to be able to save us as a nation. During the lockdown period in 2019-2020, when the country was locked down by the president, we started to realize the problems that we have as a country. In Pretoria, Tshwane alone, there was 15,000 amapara. Where's Ipara in? Ipara, are those people that we call Noma Yini Prayami. In Pretoria, we call them Abonya Upe. In KwaZulu-Natal, they call them amapara. We discovered that there were men, young, strong men, 15,000 of them who left home and decided to live on the street. 15,000. Yamadoda alingana nani. Nabafazi abalingana nani. Who were living on the street. Who were smoking nyaupe. Who were smoking drugs. And then some of you, when you look at this thing, you think, it can't be me. But let me tell you, if that trajectory, in Johannesburg it was worse. They went to the CPD in Johannesburg. It was more than 15,000 young men living on the street, smoking nyaupe and stealing and plundering the infrastructure. Young people, the reason why we are doing this thing is to stop this thing from continuing. We are trying to say to you, there is a vision of Africa. It's called Vision 2063. TUT has its own vision of 2020 to 2025 of making knowledge work. But if we continue with the trajectory that we are in, we won't be able to achieve this vision. Last week we were burying a young woman in this place. Her name is Hilary Godi. Was killed by young comrades from universities. One of them, who is the accused, is called a president of one university in Johannesburg or in Tshwane. Was the president of the SRC, one of the accused. Some of them, you have seen them on campus. Some of them you have seen on TV. Mosne. Those guys, you have seen them on campus. They are coming to fetch some of you on campus. Because that's the lifestyle that young people have chosen for themselves. Instead of being busy with the project of rebuilding this country, rebuilding this continent, our young people are busy with booze, are busy with illicit sex, they are busy with drugs, they are busy with stealing, they are busy with cheating in exams. We can't build Africa that way. Number one, I'm here to tell you that we have a vision in Africa, which is called Vision 2063. As a young person who is an African, you must go and internalize that vision. You must own it and say, I am that generation that's going to make this vision to pass, to come to pass. We are not just living as Africans. We have a vision. It's called Vision 20. As a TUT student, we also have a vision. It's called TUT 2020 to 2020. So you are the generation that make this vision to work. So we are doing what we are doing because we want to inspire young people to catch a vision that's going to rebuild their families, that's going to rebuild their communities, that's going to rebuild their institution, that's going to rebuild Africa and South Africa and the world. May God bless you as you rebuild Africa. I've taken the mic.
Thank you very much, Dokotela. Nisekhona? Mangikhuluma ukuthi nisekhona, I've seen this other post ekhuluma ukuthi MC usibuza njani ukuthi nisekhona whereas uyasibona ukuthi sisahleli. Sengishilo ukuthi each and every home is a talent, right? TUT Mbombela, we are also blessed. We are not only blessed with singing. Siyawashaya amapoem la kuleli khaya. So allow me to bring you a poet on stage. Her name is Cindy Khoza.
Yimbongi yezulu ehamba nophezulu. Liyaduma izulu hayi inkondlo imbongi yezulu. Ngale nkondlo ngithanda ukusho ukuthi ma-Afrika amahle sibe munye sibumbane lo mhlaba uyahlaba. Singabumbananga thina siyilutho. Mina ngikhulekela ukubumbana kuma-Afrika amahle ukuthi uma ungibona ngikhona indlela engakwazi ukuhamba ngayo ungibonise indlela ngoba kulo mhlaba uma ngihamba ngedwa indlela ngiyibone. Yimbongi yezulu ehamba nophezulu. Ngithanda ukusho ukuthi sineyimbokodo neyinsizwa kodwa uma singabambananga sophelele emoyeni. We are a nation. We need to unite. Let's stop abusing each other. Let's stand together. We are a nation that harmonize and symbolize love. Umuntu ngabantu ngale nkondlo ngithanda ukusho ukuthi uma singabambana ngeke siyibone indlela. Ngimbongi yezulu ehamba nophezulu. Le nkondlo kumina ibe yisibonakaliso ngoba kaningi ngibabona bephelele endleleni kodwa bezama ukuphumelela. Ngithanda ukusho ukuthi le mpumelelo idinga ukuthi sihlangane. Yimbongi yezulu ehamba nophezulu. Yazi ngesinye isikhathi nokuzibuza ukuthi kungani mama nginokukhala uma ngihleli ngedwa. Ngicabangela lo hleli ngaleyo uneyifiso nempumelelo kodwa indlela engakwazi ukuyibona ngiyomsiza kanjani nami ngakwazi ukuyisiza. Yimbongi yezulu ehamba nophezulu. Liyaduma izulu hayi inkondlo imbongi yezulu. Lona uSindy B the poet. Let us unite. We are a nation that symbolizes love. We are a nation that is a nation indeed for all the South Africans that live in it. Yimbongi yezulu ehamba nophezulu. Okay. The true definition of boldness, confidence, iniwani. If unaqiniswa le, that's why I say iniwani. Wow. Ma'am, hey asluleni. This is talent. Ngathi nami ngangiqala. Ngiyimbongi ngiyadlala. Well, we have a special guest. How? We have a special guest. That's not how we welcome a special guest, but asikho lapho. Banilethele a gospel artist. Niyayizwa lento. Actually, there's no need for me to introduce him to you. Magafika now on stage, I think you will have all the introduction that you need. Ladies and gentlemen, again, men ngenyao. Are you ready? Ladies and gentlemen, we have Nhlanhla Masibuko.
Sanibonani Mbombela. Sanibonani Mbombela. Hayi nami nguNhlanhla wezulu ohamba phezulu. Kanti yini le ngayithola ehlane solo kungayithola
nginqoba zonke izimo kanti yini le ngayithola yebo ngayithola ehlane soloku ngayithola nginqoba zonke izimo kanti yini le ngayithola ehlane soloku ngayithola nginqoba awuzama singene ebukhoneni benkosi ake ntule nami embombela namhlanje nithi awuzama singene ebukhoneni awoza nawe wozama singene ebukhoneni sithi laphi ngazimulo ibonakaliswa sithi laphi ngazimulo ibonakaliswa sithi woza nawe wozama singe ebukhoneni awubenkosi woza nawe masingene ebukhoneni benko sithi laphi ngazimulo yona ibonakaliswa laphi ngazimulo ibonakaliswa You may be seated. I will lift up mine eyes to the hills from whence cometh my help. My help cometh from the Lord which made heaven and earth. He said he will not suffer thy foot to be moved. The Lord which keepeth thee, he will not slumber nor sleep. Oh, the Lord is thy keeper, the Lord is thy shade upon thine right hand, upon thine right hand. No, the sun shall not smite thee by day, nor the moon by night. He shall preserve the soul even forevermore. Oh, my help, my help, my help. All of my help cometh from the Lord. I will lift up mine eyes to the hills from whence cometh my help. My help cometh from the Lord which made heaven and earth. He not suffer thy foot to be moved. The Lord which keepeth thee, he will not slumber nor sleep. For thy Lord is thy keeper, the Lord is my shade upon thine right hand, upon thine right hand. Oh, the sun shall not smite thee by day, nor the moon by night. He shall preserve my soul, even forevermore. My help, my help, my help, all of my help cometh from the Lord. All of my help cometh from the Lord, cometh from the Lord. Sithi umsindisi, oh sindisi, nguwe olethemba, oh msindisi, oh msindisi, oh msindisi, nguwe olethemba, uzondikhape sendiyoela ibao omumneti zondikape sendiyoela ibao
Again, pending izandla. So touchy. I'm sure you have been wondering, lo sisi soloko waqala, she has been busy. Mr. Abner Mariri once said. Mr. Abner Mariri once said. Sesifikile isikhathi. Nisekhona. Well, we are wondering and we want to know who is this Mr. Abner Mariri that I've been talking about. Mr. Mkhale, please come and introduce the guest to us.
Asbonge. Please, let's give a big round of applause to Abutin Tlantla for the wonderful, wonderful performance that he just gave us. Great work, great work. Now, I'm going to introduce us to our guest speaker today, who's going to bless us with his knowledge, wisdom, and experience. His name is Abner Mariri, and he wrote a wonderful book called The Door, an Addict's Journey. And I think some of you, if you are lucky, if you listen, you'll get a copy of the book. His biography reads as follows, or his profile rather. Abner Mariri is an entrepreneur, social activist, mentor, inspirational speaker, and author. His life's journey from township boy to the streets of Los Angeles and back to South Africa at the most exciting time in its history shows his indomitable spirit. But this is not your ordinary memo of a township. Abner's candid portrayal of his descent into the madness of addiction will shock you at times, and his deeply intimate depiction of the road to his hell will probably make you cry. One thing is for sure, you'll find yourself rooting for him even at the height of his debauchery. Beautiful, crazy people, please let's stand on our feet and give Mr. Abner Marire a big round of applause. We can do better than that, guys. Let's give him a big round of applause.
Can I put it in on for now, or
Yes, thank you. Sanbonani. Sanbonani. Let me take this opportunity to express a word of gratitude to Dr. Klaba, the leadership, SRC, the administrator, the HOD, the staff, the team. Thank you so much for affording me the opportunity to be here. To all the students who are here, I say viva. Students, viva. Viva Mbombela, viva. Viva TUT, viva. I've got so much to say, and hopefully we will engage, because the subject that I'm talking about today is a subject that I never thought in my wildest dreams I will talk about and traverse this country, the lengths and breadths of this country, because at one stage I was equally a student, and I was wrestling this morning, even as I was getting prepared to come here, what it is that I will wear. And I thought I need to be formal, but I thought I'm coming to a student campus. I need to look the part, and I wanted to actually wear a suit. And my wife says, hey, you must look presentable. And we engaged in debates, but I'm glad that I am here today. When I was engaging with Dr. Klaba, he gave me an option. He gave me an option of what to choose. And after much reflection, I chose Mbombela, because I think there's talent in this room. And I'm glad today that our paths crossed, and that I could be here with you to talk about a subject that is very close to my heart, which is the subject of drugs and alcohol. On your path to greatness, you're going to find some monsters along the way that are going to try and deter you from ultimately reaching that which you have been called to do, to design, and to be. So I'm literally, to borrow a scriptural passage, I'm a voice crying out in the wilderness to say, be careful, be cautious, be observant, open your eyes. There is an agenda for your life and for my life. And today with my presentation, I hope you would have gained and garnered some information that will empower you along the journey, so that you don't have to repeat the mistakes that some of us have repeated. I hate drugs with a passion. I'm a recovering drug addict. I was addicted to drugs for 5 years. My drug of choice was cocaine, crack, ecstasy, and alcohol. And at the height of it all, I mixed it up. Please repeat after me. My situation, I can't hear you. My situation is not my destination, but my situation is my preparation. Okay. Please remember that. My situation, your situation, is not your destination, but your situation is indeed your preparation for greater things to come. There is a place on the 6th of April 1993, Solomon Mahlangu's body was reinterred at the Mamelodi Cemetery, where a plaque states his last word. And he says, I quote, "My blood will nourish the tree that will bear the fruits of freedom. Tell my people that I love them, they must continue to fight." Close quote. There is a price that was paid for your freedom. It did not come cheap, it did not come easy. Some people bled and died to provide an opportunity for you to sit where you sit. And somebody, when they speak about an opportunity, they said, it is better for me to be prepared to have an opportunity and not have one, rather than to have an opportunity and not be prepared. So you are sitting, it's not your sense of entitlement that will usher you into greatness, but it is the struggles and the challenges that you overcome that will empower and enable you to reach and to become anything that you were designed to become. So today, my friends, I must tell you that we are a nation seriously in trouble. Our nation lacks leadership. Our nation lacks vision. There is a vision for Africa. There's a vision for TUT. I always struggle and ask myself, what is the vision for this country? Where are we headed? How are we being led? What is a 10-year trajectory? How are we being galvanized to support the vision of South Africa? And I find myself saying that our country is truly wanting. And I believe subjectively that I'm speaking to the true leadership of this country, and they are sitting here listening to me in front of us here today. But there are some struggles that you have to overcome to see you become everything that you were designed to be. The struggles that I faced as a young person, and three things that I do today. Three. It's not many, but three things, just to put a context so you understand. The first thing that I do is I do manufacturing. I'm passionate about manufacturing. In fact, I think it was Karl Marx who said we need to control the means of production. Okay? So when I was at varsity and I was at school, I always wanted to own a manufacturing establishment. And when I came back in South Africa, and the writing was clearly on the wall, that the future of this country is black, and I decided I wanted to carve my own niche and enter the space of manufacturing. It was a gentleman who picked me up and brought me into a particular company where I bought 50% of the shares. And if you come to Johannesburg and you ride on Gautrain, 50% of the concrete sleepers that Gautrain is riding on, I manufactured. Put me together. And I'm grateful for that. And perhaps, you know, your students, can I speak from the heart with you? You know, sometimes it's good to follow notes, but can I speak from the heart with you? So, always passionate about manufacturing and always wanted to do that. And from that, one went into manufacturing what is called BOPP film. You know, so BOPP film is what is printed on the bottle. The thing that's written Coca-Cola is printed on a thin plastic. That plastic is manufactured from something called BOPP film. So I was on the trails and on the footsteps of Karl Marx, who said we need to control the means of production. And that is what Dr. Klabat spoke about earlier on, that yes, the continent has a vision, TUT has a vision, but I believe that you also must have a vision. Okay? And there's a distinction between a dream and a vision. Dream, and everybody wants to become something. I had a cousin brother who passed away not long ago because of alcohol. I was very upset with him. He was a proper drinker, and he was an engineer, an incredible craftsman who could build practically anything. But because he put his mind and heart to a bottle, unfortunately he died, in my subjective view, prematurely. And an amazing individual. And Mdokana, as I affectionately called him, we used to engage and debate, you know, about Karl Marx, and he was very scholarly in his approach that we need to control the means of production. And when you control the means of production, you are basically that person who is in the forefront of manufacturing. And I manufactured that plastic called BOPP film. And from there, we moved on and bought a stake in a business that manufactures insulation material. So when you build power stations, there's something called insulation that is required. And I manufactured that. You melt rock and turn it into wool. Basically, you take dolomite, coke, slag, you mix it up and you burn it into 1,600 degrees. What comes out is a melt like lava. And through spinners, you blow it, and what comes out is thin little fibers, compressed and put through an oven, cooked. What comes out is insulation material that can withstand temperatures of up to 1,500 degrees. When you go to Sterkinical, the stuff that sits on the wall that absorbs our sound, your sound, that gives you those acoustic, aesthetic, present of a cinema, that material is our material. Now, I tell you to tell you this, and now today, last year, we decided to go into the financial sector and started a business that is now fully fledged, a year old. And I'm excited. Of all the works that I've done, I think this is a way of the future, the business that we have begun. I'm excited about it. I'm saying this to say to you that if it was possible for me, it is possible for you. Because everybody can dream. Wonke umuntu uyafuna ukuphupha athi, I want to be this, I want to be that, I want to be that. But there are 4 distinct attributes of a visionary. Number 1, and hear me well, I wish you had a paper and a pen to write on. Number 1, a visionary is a person who's got an ability to see. So a visionary is a person who conceptualizes the future, and they come back and they make that future a reality. That's a visionary. Somebody said that we gain through the strengths of our vision, the power to make it happen, to have the future. So a visionary, number 1, is a person with an ability to see. So in other words, a visionary is a person who begins with the end picture in mind. And they come back and they make that picture a reality. That's a visionary, an ability to see. Where do you see yourself going 5 years from now? You see, people who don't see themselves going anywhere naturally cannot see you going anywhere. So you have to be careful who you share your dreams with, because not everybody is going to celebrate. You see, there's 2 kinds of pain in this world, and I want to impress upon you as a young person. The first kind of pain is a pain that I call a pain of regret, where you are 35 years old, 40 years old, 3 or 4 children, and you say, I wish I had done this, I wish I had done that. It's a pain of. But then there's a second kind of pain, which is a pain of self-discipline. Can you say self-discipline, please? I can't hear you. Can you say self-discipline, please? In other words, the pain of self-discipline simply says, you deny yourself certain things that naturally you should not have at this particular stage because you are focused on to your future. So a visionary, number 1, is a person with the ability to see. Number 2, a visionary is a person who's got faith to believe. Faith to believe that what I have seen, it is possible. You see, I have a friend of mine. I always tell a story. Every Sunday, we used to go to the airport, and when we get to the airport, we would just watch planes come in and planes go out. I wasn't born with a silver spoon in my mouth. I was born in a very poor family, a family of 7. I'm child number 7. And besihlala ku4 room, and bengizilalela namakhrutumana I2 besilale kitchen. So I grew up very poor. My mother worked as a domestic worker. My father worked for a company called Van Leer. But the minute I went to the airport, a vision was born. I began to see myself going somewhere, and naturally the inclination was that I came back to work the plan to achieve my goals and my dreams. Number two, a visionary is a person with an ability to see. But number three, a visionary is a person who's got courage to do. And I like the way Winston Churchill defines courage. He says courage is the capacity to go from failure to failure without losing enthusiasm. So number three, I had the courage to do. But a visionary, number four, is a person who's got hope to endure. Mtanaseka, it's not going to be easy. I wish I can tell you and excite you and tell you that life is going to be easy. And some of you who are sitting here, you come from very difficult families. Some of you who come here, maybe even in your entire clan, there's nobody who's ever graduated from an institution of higher learning. But you are the dynamite that's going to make it happen. So what you need to do is to graduate from just dreaming about it. You see, when they say there's a vision 2063, somebody took the pains to write it down to make it crystal clear, to say in 2063, this is where we see ourselves. Miles Monroe puts it so well. Miles Monroe, I had the pleasure and the opportunity to meet him. And Miles Monroe says, when you begin with the end picture in mind, you have to draft it. You know, I'm from Johannesburg, and I used to live in a place called Fourways, and there's a place called Monte Cassino there, and it was never Monte Cassino when I bought a house there. It was unpopular. I bought 3.5 hectares of land, and when I bought the 3.5 hectares of land, one day my wife and I were coming right where there's Monte Cassino. It used to be a four-way stop. Actually, it used to be a place they used to walk dogs there. And one day we were coming from church. And when we were coming from church, there was a huge picture next to the road. And that picture said Monte Cassino. It was painted in color. There were trees on the picture. I mean, the picture was captivating. It was breathtaking. And we parked on the side and we savored the moment of this picture. But lo and behold, behind the picture, there was absolutely nothing. And a view struck me that they began with the end picture in mind, and they came back and they put that picture to say, we are coming soon. And Monte Cassino was coming after most probably 5-6 years. That picture that you saw there was going to be a reality 5-6 years later. In the next couple of days, when we passed there, what did we saw? We saw construction sites. Now people working to make that picture a reality. When you are at TUT Mbombela, you're on a construction site. You're working your vision. You're working your dream. You're working your future. And when you work your future, recognize that there are people who will try and dissuade you from realizing your potential. But you got to make sure that you just brush them off. And my subject today is about this work that I've done. Substance abuse. I spent approximately 14 and a half years in the US. I was in a place called Los Angeles. I worked in the entertainment industry. I was given a privilege and an opportunity to go to a place called UCLA, University of California at Los Angeles. I come from a township, a very poor environment, and I never thought in my wildest dreams I will go to a place called the United States of America. And there I landed. And after landing, had the opportunity to be funded to go to UCLA, University of California at Los Angeles. When I got funded, it wasn't something huge and big, but for me, for a lot of people, but for me, it was something that was meaningful. Because it meant that an opportunity had occurred where I could be the first in my entire clan to rewrite the history ya Mariri. Look to someone you know left and right. Please tell them, you are simply, simply, simply the best. Please tell them, please tell them. Clap once if you hear me. Clap twice if you hear me. Clap 3 times if you hear me 3 times. So you are still there, you are listening. So, what I did, I've come to warn you, to say be careful, be cautious, be guarded. There's a poem that I would like to read for you in this book that I've written. And it's called, My Name is Cocaine. Call me Coke for short. I entered this country without a passport. Ever since then, I've made lots of scum rich. Some have been murdered and found in a ditch. I'm more valued than diamonds, more treasured than gold. Use me just one time and you too will be sold. I'll make a schoolboy forget his books. I'll make a beauty queen forget her looks. I'll take a renowned speaker and make him a bore. I'll take your mother and make her a whore. I'll make a school teacher not want to teach. I'll make a preacher not want to preach. I'll take your rent money and you'll get evicted. I'll murder your babies or they'll be born addicted. I'll make you rob, steal, and kill. When you're under my power, you have no will. Remember, my friend, my name is Big C. If you try me one time, you may never be free. I've destroyed actors, politicians, and many a hero. I've decreased bank accounts from millions to zero. I make shooting, stabbing a common affair. Once I take charge, you won't have a prayer. Now that you know me, what will you do? It's all up to you the day you agree to sit in my saddle. The decision is one that no one can straddle. Listen to me and please listen to me well. When you ride with cocaine, you're headed for hell. I studied, I succeeded. I was the first one in my family to become something in life. And when I came back to South Africa, after spending 14 years away from home, I was welcomed with open arms. I thank my mother, who was a domestic worker, and my father, who worked for a company called Van Leer. They gave me and threw a party for me. All the neighbors came, and my sisters came, and my brothers and my siblings came. And there I was a center of attraction. It was my child number 7, Siswa Mokala. It was her who said, listen, my brother, she gave a speech. She said, listen, my brother, you came home, you broke the cycle of lack of education in our family, and we're going to follow suit. She decided to go back to school, enrolled, and by the time she retired with a master's in education. So now when you come to my family, guess what? You've got engineers, you've got guys with BSc. We've broken the cycle of no education in my own tribe and my own family. And as I was making efforts, I got this contract, I got that contract. God started to open doors for me. I started to make lots of money. And as I made lots of money, I'm a Christian, very proud Christian. Instead of coming into the house of God to thank him for what I have done, what he has done for me, I started to take credit for myself. I had a little boy named Sbusiso who was at the time 16 years old, 17, and he stayed with me from the age of 2.5, 3 years old, and I literally practically brought him up. And he said, Dad, I want to go to school. I said, my son, where do you want to go? He said, I want to go to Pretoria. Went to Pretoria. 6 months later, I got a call from Dumisane, his cousin brother, who said Sbusiso did not come home. I said, don't worry, he's probably been with his friends. And in the evening, I got a call from Dumisani. He said, Uncle, Sbusiso is in hospital in ICU. I rushed to hospital, and when I got there, guess what? There's Sbusiso with drips. He was practically, for all intents and purposes, brain dead. He went drinking as a student, and for some reason, he was pushed from the 6th floor, and he landed on his foot, broke his foot, his head followed, and he went into a coma, and he never came out. At the age of 17, with his future bright and beautiful ahead of him, unfortunately, it was cut short. My brother followed suit, and when my brother followed suit, guess what? My brother died literally probably 2-3 months later. I'd gone to speak, and I told you I do 3 things. The first one is manufacturing. The second one I do consulting. And obviously the third one, I started a foundation called Joint Power Development Foundation, which is what this work is all about. I couldn't believe. I was gutted. I was broken. And broken as I was, I started to take to the bottle. And I started to drink copious amounts of alcohol. And the more I drank, I thought the more the pain would go away. Because Sbusiso was 17 years old. And there's nothing as a parent that I could have done for him. For the next 3-4 years, I asked myself questions that I did not have answer. What could I have done to prevent this situation from taking place? But then one thing led to another. I found myself drinking copious amounts of alcohol. I'd gone to speak. And I got offered something that I should not have been offered. It was a Tuesday. I'll never forget that day. After speaking, they said, what do you drink? I said, no, I will take wine. They gave me wine, down 3-4 glasses, got slightly tipsy, asked for the restroom on my way home, and they said to me, I said, where's the restroom? They said, go upstairs. I went upstairs to the left, and instead of going to the door on the left as I was instructed, I went to the door on the right. In that door on the right, there was a small little table, Mdanasekaya, and on that table, there was every single drug that you can imagine. I found 2 people in that room. They pushed the door, and they locked me inside. What attracted me in that room, and I say it with brokenness, was 3-4 young ladies that I saw. They were also using drugs. And I don't think none of them thought that they could be drug addicts. And they offered me something that looked like a cigarette, and it was actually a crack pipe. They said, you got to try something. So I took the crack pipe, put it in my mouth. They showed me how to do it. And they said, you got to put it in your mouth. And I put it in my mouth. They said, you got to exhale and inhale slowly. And slowly I took it. Didn't do anything to me. Tried it 3-4 times. After that, I got in my car, drove home. As I was driving home, the drug started to kick in. I parked the car, I savored the moment. And as I savored the moment, guess what? I made a U-turn and went back to that place. That's when disaster started. What started like a weekend binge of Friday, Saturday, casual smoking, hanging out, it grew worse and worse. What what started with 200 rands and 300 rands and 400 rands started to increase exponentially, and before long, I was doing 2.5 grand a day on crack cocaine. I hate drugs with a passion. I really do. It was the late Huma Sikela. Because when I was in active addiction, guess what transpired? Every single day was disastrous for me. For the first 3 years, I could control it. I could feel it. For the first 3 years, I felt I was in control. I mean, this thing was exciting. You know, I couldn't believe the amount of energy that I was getting from addiction. I couldn't believe the amount of excitement that all the inhibitions that I had, they all came down. And I became arrogant, and I became pompous. I became self-centered and egotistic. I was full of grandiosity and pride. It was all about me. You won't believe it. Everywhere I go, my name was there, and I would put 3,000-4,000 K a day to buy crack cocaine. And of course, because it's my drug of choice, after a while, Dr. Kaba, crack cocaine no longer gives you that excitement, so you have to add something. So I added cocaine, the real lines. So I do crack, I do cocaine, and after cocaine, guess what? It went to ecstasy. So I'll do crack, cocaine, and ecstasy. And after a while, the excitement was no longer there, so I'd mix it up with alcohol. So it was crack, cocaine, ecstasy, and alcohol. And at the height of my addiction, guess what happened? I became suicidal. I remember I bought probably 3,000-4,000 rands worth of drugs and went in to a hotel with the view of ending it all. And as I walked into that hotel, I drank copious amounts of alcohol. I was paranoid. I took drugs, and I wanted everything to end. I lost weight. I became emaciated. I became the talk of the town. I stole. I lied. I sold practically everything, my kids' toys, my jewelry, my wife's jewelry, everything. I didn't know I had the strength enough to carry a microwave for 2 kilometers to go and cash it for drugs. I didn't know, I didn't know that I could do that. I became a friend of the sheriff where I lived. I became the friend of a sheriff. And I say it with humility. I had a house in Fourways. I built from scratch, because when I came back from the US, I was excited about the possibility of life and what I could do. I was not married, and I was speaking across the country and traveling the continent of Africa. I mean, I was always fascinated about Africa. I'd never traveled, and I think I've been to almost 48 countries on the continent and always wanted to meet its people. So I was excited. The possibility of me making money was there. It was huge, and I was excited. But this thing came in between my life and my destiny and impacted everything. That house that I built, that house that I had in Sentin, I sold it for 2.5 million, and I smoked every single penny of it. I sold another house, I smoked all of it. And I say it with humility. I'm not here to boast. There's no reason for that. I just want to show you the intensity of the decadent lifestyle that is associated with addiction, what it can do to a human being. I had cars, I had accidents, you name it, it was there. And why? And there were some days, you won't believe it, there were some days I wanted to quit. And as I wanted to quit, there was a day, and it's in my book, I wanted to quit so badly that I decided, I had a Chrysler at the time. I took my drugs, I took my pipe. I said, perhaps if I go to another province, and you will excuse me because I drove from the East Rand and all the way on the N12, and I didn't know where I was going. I just wanted to go dump my drugs somewhere. And as I was passing Middleburg, I saw a place there, and I decided I'm going to dump my drugs there, and I dumped them, and I made a U-turn. I went back home, and I was singing praises, feeling delivered, feeling free. And I got home, and they had cooked dinner, and we sat around the table, and we ate, and it was amazing. And as we were sitting and eating, it was great, man. The dinner was amazing, and I was feeling relieved, and I sat on my couch, watched a movie, and things like that. But when everybody went to sleep, around 12 o'clock, that craving started to hit. And I looked for my dealers anywhere, everywhere, and I could not find them until I found I thought around 1:30, a thought crossed my mind that, hey, by the way, I drove an hour and a half to go leave a stash somewhere. I can go back and get it. In the wee hours of the morning, I got on the N12. The madness and the chaos of undetermined pain put lights on. And there the drugs were. I parked my car on the side after driving 1 hour, 30 minutes. And I knelt and I saw them, crack cocaine, and my pipes were there. My pipe had broken a little bit, but it could still work. Got in my car, I said, praise the Lord. And I started to smoke again. Can you imagine the chaos and the madness of it all? But I thank the late Hugh Masikela and a friend of mine, Lebo M, who knocked on the door 5 o'clock in the morning and said, Chief, I'd lost so much weight. I was a shadow of my former self. In fact, the late brother Hugh said to me, man, you look like a ghost. You look like a UFO. But long story short, they said, you're going to rehab. I went to rehab, and when I got to rehab, I relapsed while I was inside of a rehab. And when I came out, they all organized in celebration of my coming out. They didn't know that I was high as a kite. And I couldn't wait to go and score for some more drugs. And there I was. I went to my second rehab. And when I got to my second rehab, I relapsed 2 days after I left the rehab. 2010, I went to my third attempt, and my third attempt was 8 months, and that is where I recovered my life. On the 5th of May this year, I celebrated 12 years clean time from drugs, and I'm standing today. My first book is just an animated book. And on this book, it's a workbook, animated workbook. But on this book, there is a page, I'm almost done. There is a page that I detail here. One, it talks about the name of the drug, how it's taken, the high that it gives you, the timing that it lasts in your system, the low, the brain effect, and the body effect. So when you look at marijuana, it's got different names across the country. And I'm sure here in Mbombela, it's everywhere. But those who are taking nyaope, it's actually a mixture of 3. It's strychnine, which is rat poison. And it is heroin. And then it's weed. It's all mixed together. And they mix other things, obviously, in the strychnine. And that's the high that it gives you. It can be smoked, it can be eaten. You become happy and relaxed. Within 4 minutes, you take it, but it lasts 4 to 8 hours in your system. The low, panic attacks, hallucination, memory loss, and paranoia. Brain effect changes brain chemistry, leaving you uncoordinated and unable to understand your own feelings, thoughts, and emotion. Body effect causes bronchitis and asthma and lung cancer. Those are some of the things that you get, those who are smoking weed. It's not a party drug. You've got to stop it. Your future is too bright. Your future is too bright. So I put this book, 309 pages strong. Took me 5 years to do it, based on 7 doors. And in this book, I tell it all. Danasekaya, all in the interest of making sure that the vision that's birthed within you, it can be protected. That even as you face your future, the future that is bright, saying you're going somewhere, that future must be protected. So I've come to warn you that yes, you might be offered, because you might find that at TUT Mbombela there are drug pushers. There are those who are taking drugs, but also perhaps there are those who are selling drugs. And you've got to tell yourself that I'm not going to do it. You see, as I take my seat, how much time do I have? 5 minutes? 5 minutes? As I take my seat, I ask myself, what is a TUT student all about? And what do they look like? And I've come up with 5 looks of a TUT student. Number 1, can you say number 1, please? I can't hear you. Can you say number 1, please? A TUT student is a student who looks above. It believes in the power of divine intervention. A TUT student is a student who understands that there is a higher power, that there is a God who looks above, and He is the Alpha and the Omega. So as a TUT student, recognize that you come from eternity and there's a job that you have to fulfill. So say, look above. I can't hear you. Say, look above. Number 2, a TUT student is a student who looks within. Can you say, look within, please? When you look within, you recognize that you are gifted. That you are talented, that you are uniquely qualified, and that only you possess the capacity and the capability to achieve anything that you would like to achieve. So you are really, truly your own worst enemy. But the truth of the matter is that you are gifted. And when you are gifted, you're going to face different stumbling blocks that are going to be before you to try and dissuade you so you don't become ultimately that which you have been designed to be. Say, look within. Number 3, look around. Can you say, look around, please? When you look around, you recognize that you are not an island. That there are people that you can go to. That there are people that you can lean on. That there are people that you can effectively go to when you got issues and when you got struggles. And Student Government and Leadership Development Program is one of them. Then when you look around, that you're not an island. But number 4, can you say look behind? Can you say look behind, please? I can't hear you. Can you say look behind, please? Now, when you look behind, you recognize that you are not an island, that there are many people who came before you, and that the onus and responsibilities are upon you to carry the baton, to take it from where they left off. And when you look behind, you realize that you are standing on the shoulders of giants and the shoulders of greatness, that for you to achieve anything and to become anything, you must realize where you come from. You are not an island. Frantz Fanon puts it well. He says, never forget where you come from, and always remember the bridges that carried you over. But number 5, can you say look ahead, please? Now, when you look ahead, I can't hear you. Can you say look ahead, please? When you look ahead, you recognize that there is a future. You are a visionary. You possess the capacity and the capability to achieve that future. Vision 2063, TUT Vision 2025, but your personal vision. Go home and make sure that that personal vision becomes a reality. You see, if you cannot be a bush, just be a tree. If you cannot be a highway, just be a trail. If you cannot be the sun, just be a star. For it isn't by size that you win or you lose. Just be the best of whatever you can be. With God on your side, nothing is impossible. I wish you the best in everything that you do. Recognize the stumbling blocks in front of you, but recognize that you have the power to overcome and to achieve everything that you want to achieve. Can you say no to drug? Can you say no? Please stand up and repeat after me. Repeat after me, please. I pledge to take my future in my own hands. I pledge to take my future in my own hands. I pledge to make it happen for myself, for my family, for my community, and for my beautiful country, South Africa. I pledge, I can't hear you, to say no To drugs? No. To alcohol? But I say yes to my future. Thank you and God bless you. Can I borrow that? Yo, go find another one.
In most cases, you may find people saying, "Gutsibona, they don't need motivation. I don't want anyone to come and tell me how to live my life." Motivational speakers. But we tend to forget ukuthi motivation is what keeps us going. Mr. Marere, thank you. Moving on. Is there anyone who has a question? Noted. Since Nina question, it's gonna be like departure, it's a fellow. Niyayicula kuphela anibhemi.
Thank you, thank you. My question is very simplistic, chair lady of the session. How do we access that beautiful book?
What a question. No other question? Ngicela unike Mr. Marere i-mic.
I'm going to do something. Just choose a page here on the book. Just choose a page. A page. Just select a page, okay? I'm going to read it for you. That Friday, I went out drinking with friends, and on my way home, I figured out I could cruise through the seedy part of Benoni. Someone would point me in the right direction to get more of the stuff I was still craving. It was not long before I met a Niger who for 200 gave me rocks and a pipe. I went home, tried it in my garage. I didn't get the instant kick I wanted, but after a while I could feel the effects on my brain. Words truly fail me to describe what was happening in my brain. I finished it all and feelings of guilt overwhelmed me. What am I doing? Am I crazy? These are drugs. I was playing with fire and I was going to burn out sooner or later. What had become of me? Then I rationalized that there wasn't really anything wrong with the stuff, and besides it was impossible for me to get hooked. I didn't do it again for about 2 weeks, until I went out drinking and again with friends. On the way home, I went looking for the dealer who had sold me the stuff before. When I found him, he asked me where I'd been, and I apologized for giving me stuff that I wasn't so lucky. He said that sometimes he got shipments of drugs that wasn't great quality. Now, my favorite page is page 100, and I'll just very quickly, and then I'll tell you, I'll leave it to Dr. Kaba to tell you where you get it. In the private room, she loaded for a rock for me and instructed me like a pro how to do it. I wanted to get the maximum high and did it according to instruction. I inhaled really slowly, keeping the smoke within until it disappeared into my brain. What followed was an unbelievable aesthetic feeling that staggers the imagination. I was on another level, on another cloud. Before I even sat down, she loaded a rock for herself and then went straight for my zip. She pulled down my pants and slipped on a condom and sent me further up towards heaven. Tell it like it is. Now, why am I reading it for you? For me, it's a journey to disempower what drugs does to a person. Today, I'm on a quest, on a mission to make sure that I talk to young girls. Trust me when I tell you that every club that you go to, somebody is watching you, looking at you, your every move, so they can spike the drink, so they can get you dizzy, so they can get you somewhere, and so they can gang rape you. because that's what it's all about. Okay? So you have to say, when I say you have to say no, you have to say no. It's all contained in the book, and I will leave it to my distinguished, honorable leader to say where you actually can get the book.
We have a few copies. Mam Kasta, Sister Jabulile, they will choose how to distribute the copies that are in those boxes. But I'm sure they will take the first book and give it to the guy who has asked that question. You're the first one to get a book. You get a book, you get a book, you get a book. But they will decide how the books are going to be distributed. But those who can't get the books from the boxes, I'm sure there is a way of buying the books. Just follow Mr. Mariri on all social media platforms and buy the books and encourage everybody to buy the books. God bless you.
Thank you. Please, ngicela nishayeleni Mr. Mariri izandla futhi. Now to the item that we all have been waiting for. She is a queen among South African musician gospel artists. Aniko serious. The powerful Zulu praise singer. Both songwriter and producer, executive director, and an award-winning artist. A very anointed woman of God. Ladies and gentlemen, drum rolls, please.